Welcome back to the program. A major escalation today in a diplomatic row between France and Italy. France today recalled its ambassador in Rome after what Paris described as repeated baseless attacks from Italian political leaders. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry of France said for several months, France has been the subject of repeated accusations, unfounded attacks, and outrageous declarations. This is unprecedented since the end of the war. To have disagreements is one thing. To exploit the relationship for electoral purposes is another. So, how did we get to this point right now? Here's some background. It's been a tough few months for France's Emmanuel Macron. His leadership under scrutiny as Yellow Vest protesters continue their campaign against the president. And if Mr. Macron was hoping for some neighborly support from Italy, he'll be sorely disappointed. His relationship with this man, Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Luigi Di Maio, deteriorated further this week as the Italian leader visited Paris to meet Yellow Vest leaders. Praising the anti-Macron movement, he took to social media saying, "The winds of change have crossed the Alps." It's fair to say the French were not impressed. The Foreign Ministry releasing a statement saying, "This new provocation is unacceptable between neighboring countries and partners at the heart of the EU." Whatever happened to love thy neighbor? And here with me to discuss this, so we have Ignazio Corrao. He's an Italian MEP from the Five Star Movement. And we also have a Euronews correspondent still with us, Grégoire Lory. And back with me, Darren McCaffrey, our political editor. All right, you know, this is seeing the Italian politicians. You were there, you said, in the picture,
yes,
with the Yellow Vest
picture.
protesters. But just to add more background to this also started when Italy accused France of keeping African countries poor and therefore pushing Africans to come to Europe. And this is because they're using the CFA franc. So this is a currency that's backed by France from pre-independence time. Just to put that background out there. Is Italy overstepping the line here? I will ask you. You were there meeting Yellow Vest protesters. Why? And are you not interfering here?
No, absolutely not. What I think now is that Macron is just a little overreacting because Luigi Di Maio was not at that meeting as Deputy Prime Minister, was a minister. He was there as a political chief of the Five Star Movement, and we were meeting a group of the Gilets jaunes, the IC, that are preparing a list for the European election. So it's a political meeting that a leader of a political movement, as the Five Stars Movement, has all the rights to do. We have no intentions of interfering with the internal affairs of France, as we don't want to interfere with the internal affairs of any country of Europe and of the world. The problem with Macron probably started when he used the Italian election and the Italian government to start his European campaign. And many times he attacked the new government. So I think it's normal
to have... So you think France is playing politics?
Of course he's playing politics.
Playing politics here?
I think it's...
Or overreacting? What is it?
I don't think...
It's a little touch.
Macron overreacted. I mean, if you look at what Matteo Salvini, the interior minister, said that Macron was a very bad president, I don't know who started first. I mean, we're getting into a nasty situation and it's something we've never seen before between France and Italy for decades. So it is worrying. It is the launch of the European campaign, and I think France had to do this diplomatic step.
But isn't there an element of theatrics there, you think? Because using the words, this is the worst attack since World War II. I mean, that's a bit much, no?
Yeah, it may well be a bit much. I agree with that sentiment. But, this is an ongoing spat. Sure. It is clearly getting quite serious. People are getting very heated and emotional about it all. But I would come back to, it is interfering in domestic French politics. I don't understand how you can say it's not interfering.
It's not interfering because they're preparing a list for the European election.
So you would welcome Emmanuel Macron as leader of En Marche going to Italy and talking to your political opponents.
Let me ask you something. If Macron talks with Renzi, and he does talk with Renzi, is he interfering in Italian domestic affairs?
Is that okay with you? If he does,
for us, it's okay. It's political. It's politics. It's European politics, and Macron can have his agreement with Renzi. It's okay.
But Matteo Renzi is not going around smashing up front windows, shop windows,
and being anti-Macron.
But it's not like all the Gilets jaunes are smashing windows. This is something not correct.
Well, they were yellow vests.
Yeah, there are some of them. We're not speaking with the violent part. We want to speak with the moderate part. We want to create a list and give an answer for the demands that come from the French people.
But
we love French people. They are our cousins. We don't want to have a problem with
the
them.
Yellow Vest protesters are anti-Macron.
Yes, and Renzi is anti-five-star movement. It's politics. It's normal. If he speaks with our opponents in Italy, we speak with their opponents. But it's European politics. Here we all work together, and we do want to work together, France, to have a better Europe.
But you will have to accept that some of the language involved on both sides, but the language.
Both sides.
But just because you can accuse Macron of using, or some French politicians of using provocative language, doesn't mean that you then turn around and use the same language to attack them. The language on both sides has not, for cousins, as you just said, it's not nice, is it?
All right.
Cousins fight.
For the choice of words, I'd like to ask you, why did they choose those words, comparing it to World War II? I mean, again, I go back to my question. Isn't that a bit too much?
It's a bit too much.
So what is that? Is it a game? Okay.
I think it's a heated reaction, as you mentioned. It's a bit too much, but maybe it's in Emmanuel Macron's idea to show his stand in the European campaign. I mean, he is going to campaign from the liberal side against the illiberal. So for him, it's a way to divide a bit more the political landscape between what he thinks is the good side and the opposite side.
You're saying liberal and illiberal.
I think this is the interesting point, is that this is not necessarily a row between France and Italy.
Sure.
Though there is ongoing tensions, and there has been, but this is fundamentally a row about someone who views themselves as a European liberal leader against what he views as the growing spread of populism.
Which brings us to the theme of the election. I mean, is this the kind of campaigning we're going to be seeing?
Yeah, this is just European campaigning, and
he's clearly enjoying it.
What I say is, I mean, it's strange that we have to go and speak with the Yellow Vest, with the Gilets Jaunes, that they are a very big movement asking for things that don't work in France. So they're asking their president, Macron, to find a solution, and he doesn't speak with his people. And we have to try and find a solution together with them.
That is interfering, because you're talking to them about what they want from their own government.
About the European visions that if we can work together for a better Europe, for a different Europe. Of course, they don't agree with the Europe that Macron has in mind, so that's the point.
Do you think it's going to get dirty? I mean, Darren.
I think it will, because you know what raises tensions and rhetoric and language and emotion more than an election, and we've got an election coming up. And as I said, this is a reflection of the battles that we're going to see play out, not just between France and Italy, but in different countries.
But the lines are clear.
Different regions across Europe over the next couple of months.
All right.